beautiful, good Friday evening here, dear viewers. Welcome back to Le Mans Ultimate for a Friday night ELMS series. Although we are not in Europe, we are at Fuji Speedway. But anyways, my name is Gobby. Joining me in the booth today for the very first time is Layla Bell. Layla, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am feeling fantastic, but I could be better. I could be on track, but I've just been very, very busy these last couple of weeks, so I think it's better that I stay out of the track. However, you've raced over here yesterday. How was it for you?
Honestly, I enjoyed the track. I didn't think that I would, because I don't really like Sector 3 previously, but it was quite nice in the Lexus last night.
Driving the Lexus. I've talked yesterday about the Lexus when we were at Bathurst, and we had like 5 Lexuses in the top 10. It was fantastic. And now my co-commentator is also driving a Lexus. It's just my week this week. But we are currently going underway with qualifying, although qualifying in Le Mans Ultimate is, I'm not gonna lie, pretty dull, as everyone's on their own part of the track. You don't have to deal with the traffic. But at the same time, it is multi-class. There is a faster class, and it can get quite awkward. So I think this is the better format, especially with the tight time schedule that we have. But anyways, I don't know much about Fuji. Obviously, you've raced here yesterday. Is there any particular quirks about this track that I may not know about?
It felt pretty grippy, I would say. It's really difficult in Sector 3 with all the low speeds. I would say if you're running a single monitor like me, and I'm sure a lot of these drivers, it's very hard to spot apexes, and that'll get pretty interesting in the race when we see people sort of losing themselves if they get into a battle or anything out on track. It'll be very hard to keep a good line, and I think that'll get quite exciting. Even in quali, it's quite tricky.
It's nice that you say that, because actually the LMP3s, apart from the Janetta, which funnily enough, it's mostly Janettas, but the Ligier and the Queen both have this absolutely horrendous pillar on the right side of the driver, and you actually, even on regular tracks, you can't see apexes the same way you would on other cars. Obviously, at the moment, we're on board with Daniel Benefield. He's proven himself to be quite a bit of a rocket, currently setting the fastest lap of the session in LMP2 with a 129.558, almost a second clear of Ryan Anderson, currently sitting in provisional P2 with a 130.376. When it comes to P3s, we have our good old Shady Samuel with a 135.7, closely followed by Harry Lawrence, currently with a 136.0, and Shady Samuel's actually driving the Queen. So that's one of the cars, like you mentioned earlier, you can't see the apexes already. It's probably going to make it very tricky for these guys, but Shady Samuel not sweating a single bit, currently setting the fastest time for LMP3s.
Yeah, it'll be quite difficult for a lot of these guys out here.
I don't know what to say, because I've never driven. Well, I've driven this track once. I absolutely hated it. I just could not find a flow with it. But obviously, it all comes with practice, especially with a new track. Once you do a couple hours of practice, I would say, I find myself to get up to pace relatively quick. In LMU, obviously, in the LMP3, I do enjoy a bit of LMP3 driving. In my opinion, it is the best car in Le Mans Ultimate. Fight me if you disagree. But I just find this car to be heaps of fun. It's not too powerful, but yet it's got tons of downforce. Just imagine a GT3 on steroid, and you've basically got the LMP3. It's definitely worth a try if you've never driven prototypes before. Unfortunately, it is locked behind a paywall. You do need to get yourself at least one of the ELMS tracks. I think the first one was Paul Ricard, if I remember correctly, or Silverstone. No, it was Silverstone. It was Silverstone. So you do need to get at least one of those tracks to get one of the LMP3s. But trust me, they are fantastic fun, especially if you've never driven a downforce car before. They're the correct place to start.
I might have to give it a try then. I've never driven them before. I have driven the P2s in the summer league that Octane did, and they were great fun. I would have to say one of my favorite cars in this game. I drove the LMP2 plenty on R Factor 2 as well, which has very similar physics to this game. So I was quite familiar with it, and it's a lot of fun. Very tricky.
Now, did you drive the regular WEC LMP2 or did you drive the ELMS LMP3s? Because they are actually very different from each other. So that's actually one thing I've been wondering, yeah.
I think it was the ELMS.
Yeah, that is the better of the two P2s, I will agree. In fact, the ELMS is faster than the hypercars on a couple of tracks, and it's possible this may be one of them. I am pretty sure it's actually got better cornering speed. The only thing that it lacks compared to a hypercar is actually its top-end power. The hypercar does pull away down the straight, but when it comes to pure cornering, the ELMS P2 is actually quicker, so it does make it quite interesting when you compare the two cars' lap time, as we're now looking at Harry Lawrence taking P2 from Callum Gibbons, currently setting at 135.5. In fact, getting very close to Shady Samuel. The battle for P1 in the LMP3 class does seem to be brewing up quite a bit. I'm not sure how long do we have left in quality. I do not see a timer. It is a 10 above. Yeah, the timer is not running, but it is a 10-minute quality session. But I'm expecting this will be the last lap, as most of the cars have now gone into pits, and it's looking like Daniel Benefield will take pole position for the LMP2s, and well, I want to say Shady Samuel will have pole for the LMP3s, but Harry Lawrence here is still on track, has shown pace in the past. So let's see what Harry Lawrence can do, as they are currently. Where are they on track? I'm so
the final sector.
That is the final sector. I think that he's gone straight for the final corner. Actually, no, that is not the final corner. Oh yes, I see his number. I see it. Thank you, Layla.
There we go.
I'm gonna need you for this track. I really do not know it very well. This is my first time commentating here, but now he goes for the final corner. As he goes down the straight, what time would it be? We do not have a delta going on. This is a bit of Le Mans Ultimate quirks. We do not get the same amount of details when it comes to ACC, when it comes to commentating. But Harry Lawrence, unfortunately, will not be able to improve and will have to settle for P2 for the race, while Daniel Benefield stays in P1, followed by Max Ricker actually in P2, and Ryan Anderson would take the third spot in the LMP2 class. For LMP3, it will be Shady Samuel in P1, followed by Harry Lawrence, and Callum Gibbons will take P3.
I think Lawrence did actually improve there, but I think Samuel's lap time was too quick. I think Samuel also improved earlier on.
He's a bit of a rocket, Shady Samuel. I've not seen him for a while. He showed back up for some LMU stuff. I've seen him drive the GT3s. I think he actually drives the Hypers in WEC. I don't remember. You would know. You drive the WEC series.
He does. He's in a Peugeot.
Yeah, he does. Okay, so he does drive. Oh, he's driving a Peugeot. Sweaty car.
That is true.
Sweaty car. I do hear that it's actually quite a safe bet to drive the Peugeot, but as these cars line up for the grid, we do have a couple of liveries there. One of the things about Le Mans Ultimate, you do have to pay a subscription to get a livery. And to be fair, I like to have a bit of identity on track, so I'm not ashamed to say I'm willing to pay the subscription to have a bit of my identity. You know, if you look at the Janetta, there's only actually the Janetta and the Queen. They only have one actual official livery, so you see a lot of these cars will be running basically the same livery. And it does make it a bit confusing to commentate. You do not have that issue with the LMP3s and the LMP2s, and actually one of the LMP3s, the Ligier. You do get quite a bit of variety there, but it seems that nobody is currently driving the Ligier. So I thought Cameron Thistlethwaite was actually driving the Ligier, but it's looking like he's driving the Queen, or is that the Ligier? I don't know. I really don't know. I think it is the Ligier, yeah, but I'm pretty sure Shady Samuel does drive the Queen.
I think it is.
but the logo looks the same. So I don't know. I remember Shady Samuel driving the Queen at the start. And yeah, that is definitely a Queen. You can tell by the front headlights. So I don't know what's going on there with the timing board, but the drivers are now off for their short formation lap. And in fact, the LMP2s are already on the start-finish straight. Now, this could get interesting. If the P2s do get into a bit of an incident, they could get caught up by the P3s, and the P3s do have a battle of their own. It's looking at the P2 field is actually pretty small for this race. Perhaps FUJI not being a favorite out of amongst our drivers here at OR, but as we see, pit limiters are on, holding 60, and as we get ready to go green, and I'm not sure when they're gonna go green here at FUJI, but I suspect they will go green anytime now as they approach the start finish line. Daniel Benefield leads the P2s, and we are green for round 5 of the OR ELMS series. And Benefield looks like he's got a pretty good start. Ryan Anderson's looking like he's also got a pretty good start, going side by side with Max Ricka as they go down to turn 1, and he will look down the inside. Can he make it stick? And it's looking like he does make it stick. Max Ricka goes wide. Wondering if we do not get a bit of LMP2 and LMP3 chaos at the back. It's looking like P3's also had a relatively clean turn 1. So let's see if these drivers can keep it together for this first lap of the race. Tires will not be fully up to temp either. They will be a little bit warm, but it's looking like Max Ricka's looking to retaliate against Ryan Anderson, trying to take his P2 back, and he does manage to make it stick. But Ryan Anderson, I guess, retaliates back against Max Ricka, and does he get ahead? We don't know. It's looking like Daniel Benefield's already starting to build a bit of a lead, and it's looking like we're going to get a pretty spicy 3-way battle here for P2.
Yeah, good work by Benefield, able to hold on to the lead, and some spicy stuff behind, but the whole field making it through clean. That's sort of what you want to see. See how we go onto the front straight here. Any slipstreams can come into play.
I'm wondering how strong the slipstream is going to be. Ryan Anderson is right on the rear bumper of that other LMP2 of Ricka, so is that going to be enough to get ahead? But it's looking like he just does not quite get the exit that Ricka got, and doesn't look like he's going to be close enough. But as I say that, he is ever so slightly closing, but is he closing enough? He's looking down the inside, but decides the better of it and does not go for the move, does not go for an absolute send like we do see here from time to time. It's looking like we did have a bit of LMP3 chaos, as we do get one of the cars very far back. I think that is Alex Saimi, very far back from the field. So I'm wondering what's happened between these guys. But as we talked about them, we got a battle between Shady Samuel and Harry Lawrence. In fact, Harry Lawrence managing to get past Shady Samuel. So this is looking like to be a battle for the race, as these two are very much dominant drivers and they do want to go for the win.
Yeah, it looks like there's a bit of a gap forming already between P2 and P3. Maybe just going to settle in there and kind of try and pull away rather than battle each other. That might be the smarter play for them, but we'll have to see what Samuel tries to do, if he wants to get back into the lead or not.
And talking about earlier about the Ligier and the Queen, it's looking like Shady Samuels actually swapped car to the Ligier. I remember he drove the Queen, but Harry Lawrence still driving the Queen. At least I'm pretty sure he is. Those cars look so similar overall. You can tell the Jetta, because the Jetta is just a sexy car. Fight me. It's just the best looking LMP3 out of the 3 LMP3s we do get in LMU. But that's beyond the point. We're looking at a battle for P1 here. It's looking like Harry Lawrence is just starting to pull away ever so slightly. These cars not the fastest down the straight. In fact, if we're talking about top end power, they're slower than a GT3. At least when I did a race at Le Mans, they were slower than the McLaren. But I remember at that point, the McLaren was quote unquote busted. But I'm pretty sure top end power wise, the GT3 is still quicker. But now we're looking at a battle for P4, and it will be Noah Reinhardt against Cameron Thistlethwaite. And it's looking at Noah Reinhardt also switching cars. I remember my good old friend here driving the Janetta. It's looking at a lot of these drivers, perhaps thinking the other car is a bit better. I will always drive the Janetta just because of you just get more you see better out the window, and it's also a left-hand drive. I don't know why. When it comes to race cars, I need to drive left-hand drive, even though in my home country we drive on the right. We drive right-hand drive. When it comes to sim, for some reason, I just been so used to driving left-hand drive cars that I do not want to drive anything that's right-hand drive. But we're now back in that battle for between the LMP2s, and it's looking like Benefield is really starting to build a gap, and Rika is also building that gap to Ryan Anderson. Currently, Rika holding the fastest lap of the race with a 131 flat. So that could be quite interesting. He does have the pace, but can he hold on to that pace to catch up that with Daniel Benefield?
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, these lap times are really quick. I think they would rival the hypercars that we had last night.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wasn't there for the race. I was still at work for the for that race. I caught the very end of it, but as we do get what looks to be a replay of the start here, see what's happened. Oh no, that is our broadcaster doing a bit of an oopsie, but we do have a bit of contact there. It's just nothing too dramatic. That's one thing I do like about LMU is that you can go door to door racing, but we do seem to have a bit of technical difficulty as we now I think we're back live, and we're looking at Jean-Pierre Sonicus. Now Peach has been away for quite a while, but he's decided to come back. I want fries. Oh, that was on your end. So our viewers wouldn't have even heard that. So now they heard me saying fries for no reason. Never mind. As we're back on the race, we're looking at Jean-Pierre Sonicus. Oh no, Jean-Pierre! As he goes for a spin. I am so sorry, but he spins it back around. He will lose a couple positions. I am so sorry, Peach. But as we've mentioned, Peach has been gone for quite a while. Decided ACC was enough. But once this little Le Mans Ultimate Series came back, especially where he's located, he cannot really do the early splits. Same for me and same for a couple of guys in OR actually. Living in our Asian continents, we cannot do the early splits, and he seems to have decided to make a comeback for this ELMS series and seems to be quite enjoying it. He is getting back up to pace and actually shown very good pace, especially being away from the rig for so long. Obviously, that spin does not help with his current position, but as we have seen, he was sitting P3 until that's happened. So he's definitely still got the pace, and obviously with practice could still fight for the win the way he did in ACC.
And that sort of mistake is just so easy to do. I'd be surprised if that's the last sort of mistake of that style we see from either class here, especially with these low speed corners and a lot of horsepower they're putting down. He's lucky not to lose. I think it was only 3 spots. Got back past Curtis after going side by side down the straight. Not sure if Curtis maybe let him through a little, or if he just got a bit lucky, got a bit more speed down the straight. He'll definitely be looking to make some more ground up as he's already onto the back of Gibbons, who's onto the back of Reinhardt.
Yeah, so this is the LMP3 field is looking like the place to be if we're looking for spicy battles, because they just still seem to be so compacted together. Obviously, you've got P1 and P2 that's just a bit off in the distance. But the battle for P3 is still very much on. And I'm not saying that battle for P1 and P2 is not on. Those two drivers could still make a mistake, and these guys will definitely capitalize on it. Like we said, it's so easy to these little spins in Le Mans Ultimate. Even in the GT3s, you can't quite slam on the throttle the same way you would in ACC. But as we talk about that, Page going for a move onto Callum Gibbons. and does not look like he makes it stick. Or does he make it stick? I'm a bit confused. They run this. So yeah, Gibbo is back in front with Peter in the back. See what I mean with the liveries, and it's not even just the liveries; it's the numbers as well. They're running the same number. It does get a bit confusing to commentate, especially when you don't have a variety of cars to choose from. So you end up having to run the same car as everyone else. It is once again not ideal, but I'll do my best here. I'll do my best for our dear viewers, but it's looking like the Ligiers are actually 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're the broken car, overpowered car. Nerf it. Obviously, that was also after Pige's unfortunate spin, but he did look for a move there on Gibbo, and unfortunately, it did not stick. Perhaps he also redressed the position as there was quite a lot of contact between these two, and PJ is very sportsman-like. He will give back the positions if he feels like he did something that is unfair to the other driver, and he is very much a gentleman in that aspect.
Yeah, and I think we'll have another go at it. We'll see how close he gets into turn 1. Doesn't look too far back, but it might be a bit of an ask. It might be too far back already.
I reckon it is a bit too far back, but he can still catch up. It is a long race. It is a 1 hour and 22-minute race, apparently, according to the timing sheet. I'm not sure how accurate that is. So it is a long race. It's only been 13 minutes. These drivers, they're not gonna be pushing as hard as they could. It could still all be done in the pit stop as well. Both classes are expected to pit in a race of this length, especially the P2s. The P2s will have to actually pit quite early. They've got quite a small fuel tanks, these LMP2s. I reckon around the 45, 50-minute mark, I'll be expecting some of these P2s to start pitting. But we're back on that battle between Gibbo and Peach, and Peach again closing the door, getting closer. They're getting it's just that bit quicker in the corners as they go through what is turn 13, and he might get a chance once they get back on the start-finish straight. But Gibbo is just, you can see Peach just carries much more speed for these corners, much more confident in the car. In fact, it's looking like he actually has to check up because of the pace difference between these two. But now we go back down the start-finish straight. Peach much closer to Gibbo. In fact, it's looking like he's getting a pretty big slipstream, and he's gonna need it to get back up to P3. So let's see what he does here. He's right on the rear bumper of his compatriot. In fact, he's already going side by side much before the braking zone, and I suspect that will be moved done for JP, and it is moved on. It's a very clean move here from Peach, very calculated, took his time, and got back up to P4 for it.
Yeah, and Gibbons left that pretty open for him, so I'm sure Peach will be a bit happy with that. He's going to look to catch up to Reinhardt now. Definitely much closer to last time.
Yeah, I think Gibbo did not really want to fight it too much. Once again, it's a long race. Anything could happen. He saw the pace difference. He's like, there's no point fighting it. Trying to fight it could just end up in disaster. And in fact, it would have probably slowed him down even more. His target is probably Reinhardt, if I'm going to be honest. But talking about Reinhardt, Peach is already starting to catch up to that number 2 car. In fact, Peach is running the number 0. We've got a bit of a glitch in the matrix. Peach running the number 0 car. It is official. I have just noticed that is the first in the world to do that. But he's already on that rear bumper of right, and it's looking like Cameron Thistlethwaite has actually gone for a bit of a spin there. I'm not sure what's happened there, but that is another free position for Reinhardt and Peach and Gibbo, actually. But don't think they'd be complaining too much about that. I'm sure Cam, however, would not be too happy with himself.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it was going to be the last time we saw somebody going off in that tricky final sector. It is basically... Oh, we got a replay here, actually. Possibly.
Oh, but
there we go.
Yeah, we
that
saw...
was weird.
It was probably a spin. I definitely agree with you there. That there we're back with Cameron Thistlethwaite, and like you said, I think he may have gone for a spin himself. And yeah, these low speed corners, especially with these downforce cars, they do not like them. They like more of the medium slash high speed corners where they can make use of the downforce. But when it comes to low speed, these cars have so much power as they need, because with downforce comes more drag, and with more drag you need more power to go fast down a straight. uh, so it definitely does not help them in these low speed tricky section. But that is back on board with Cameron Thistlethwaite. And he's, again, I've said it before, it is a long race and he's got plenty of time to make it back up.
Yep, and his tires will be hurting now after that, same as Peach up ahead. But cool him down, get back onto it. What else can he really do? It's a bit of an interesting way to go off. He was facing the right way, just off the track, going very slowly. I wonder if he looped it on the way in, or just had like a half spin and had to really check up on entry. It's such an easy thing to do. I mean, it's basically a go-kart track, Sector 3, and you're putting prototypes on it. I doubt they're getting out of third gear for more than half a second on the way into 15. Other than that, first and second gear all the way, I would assume. Very tricky to drive.
No, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure these prototypes also love downshift spamming. They love being in a lower gear. They don't have quite the amount of torque that CIGT has. Obviously, most of their power is top end. As I say, that the LMP3 is more like a GT than a prototype, in my opinion. Although
That is true.
it has the downforce, but also runs a V6 turbo engine with the new regs. So actually, it does not have any downforce, but not downforce, torque. What am I saying? What are you saying, Gobby? Wake up! But yeah, these LMP3s now run V6 turbos. So obviously, they will not have the low end power that perhaps they may have had when they were running the V8s. God, I miss these cars. But as I say that, it's looking like the LMP2s are starting to catch up to the traffic. Benefield and Rika still in the battle. In fact, Rika looking like actually getting ever so slightly closer to Benefield. So this traffic could actually play a crucial role into that battle for P1.
Yeah, he looks closer than he's been all race, really. I wonder how much of this has been sort of Rika, and even in LMP3, Samuel sort of hanging back and trying to gap P3 before they do anything crazy, and how much is just going to be affected by traffic. We might see a big move in the next couple of minutes, especially in LMP2.
Yeah, and this is where it can get frustrating, not for just for LMP2s, but for LMP3s as well. As you and me both know, we drive the slower class in our categories. Obviously, I would be driving LMP3 if I was doing this race, but it can get quite frustrating, especially when you yourself are battling someone else, and then the faster cars are also battling, so they end up going for some sketchy sends here and there, not really being patient with it, but it also affects your battle with your own class. So it could get very spicy here, especially once that P1 and P2 starts to reach that four-way battle for P3.
Yeah, it looks like Rick has lost the back of Benefield just a little bit through that first wave of traffic, and that's sort of how it's going to go. They've only gone through 2 cars so far. They've got the whole field to go. It's going to get really spicy once they get past P8, P7 and have to fight the leaders in LMP3, who are also going to be even quicker and give them even more challenge to actually get past.
Yeah, because when it comes to low speed corners, in fact, cornering in general, they're extremely similar. The main difference, honestly, with these two is just straight up raw power. The LMP2 has a lot more power and I think a tiny bit more downforce, but it's so irrelevant when it comes to these slow speed corners, especially with a LMP2 is actually hating these slow corners more than the LMP3. So, like you said, it will get very interesting once these two catch up the more condensed pack of LMP3s, it could end in disaster. Especially the further up they go, like you said, the faster the P3 is gonna be. So I could see some frustration between these two.
Yeah, and I have to wonder if the LMP2 is even the harder car to drive around these lower speed corners. I mean, more power and more chance of spinning the wheels up.
Oh, I would reckon it is the harder car to drive on a technical track like this. The LMP3 is still a very smooth car. Like I said, obviously you don't have ABS, but you still have traction control, and in that aspect, it is very similar to a GT3. As we're back on a replay with Cameron.
Oh, this is Fitzowait spin.
So we finally got a replay of it.
Spin,
And
yeah, on exit.
oh, it actually goes backwards.
Well, he did a good job of avoiding the field there.
So he's
very
actually recovered from that pretty well. But now Benefield is catching a P3. Well, obviously, down a straight is not a problem. In fact, that's where these P2 wish they could catch the traffic. It's always down the straight. It's just, yeah, that's the speed difference for you. Now, Rika will also catch it. Rika should catch as well, but that's exactly where these LMP2s want to catch these P3s, and it's also where these P3s want these LMP2s to catch. Just on the straight, no hassle, not on the apex of a corner, doesn't slow them down whatsoever. Now, the same cannot be said for Craig Busk, as obviously he's entitled to hold his own line. It is up to the faster traffic to get around, but it does get a bit nervous, as you see in the background, Rika going down the inside, and that's obviously nothing wrong with that move. Yeah, plenty of space to go through there, but it still gets a bit sketchy when you're driving, trying to hold your line while these faster cars also want to get around.
It's number 7 from LMP2's in the pits. Who's that?
Number 7. Ooh, that would be
not Rika,
Graham
because
Hill.
Rika's still on track.
That would be Graham Hill.
That would be,
pits, yeah. And it looked like, not just in the pits, it looks like they straight up DNF'd. They just perhaps had, no, they haven't DNF'd. They're going back out now, so perhaps going for a very early pit stop. That is very interesting. Surely that is too early for a pit stop in the P2s. They don't have the fuel tank capacity that a GT3 has. So surely that is very early, but they are now back on track. And in fact, dare I say, getting lapped by a P3? No, surely not. They wouldn't be getting lapped by a P3 at this stage.
They changed tires, cold tires.
Where'd you see that?
I can't see, I'm just assuming.
Just assuming. I mean, we will see what the pace they're going. If they're going extremely slow, then yeah, cold tires, because cold tires in LMU is definitely a ride. It's definitely something, and I'm gonna let a broadcaster know that we've got a bit of a mouse problem in the middle of our screen. But they've solved it for us. It is late for broadcaster Glenn Germain. All right, give him a break. He's doing his best. He's putting in his time and effort to bring these broadcasts for us today. But we're now back with Daniel Benefield, and he's catching P3. And in fact, he's gotten quite a bit of a gap to Rika, so I think he's got the longer end of the stick, or Rika got a shorter end of the stick between these two. Now, can he catch P3 in time for turn 1? And I'd like to assume he will. And talking about P3, that is JP Sonicus back up in P3. So like I said earlier, he's managed to crawl his way back up to P3 and actually managed to...
Oh my god.
Oh, Benefield goes for a bit of a spin. Oh, and that actually changes things completely, because now he's in the middle of traffic for the LMP3s, but he just manages to stay ahead. But that gives Rika actually the lead of the race, and so far it's looking like Rika is perhaps ever so slightly faster LMP2. So that changes things a lot. I did not see that happening. And
Yeah, he'll be kicking himself over that one. 2.5-second gap. Had about a 1.5, 2-second gap before the spin. Like I said, these cars are very, very tricky to drive at all parts of the track, especially turn one being a low speed corner. Looped it not on entry, sort of on the mid corner, which is quite odd. I think it was. Might get a replay, we'll have to see. But Rick has been really quick. It'll be difficult for
no.
Benefield to sort of catch back up to that, making a move already on
Oh, and
one of the
this is
LMP3s
what I
there.
mean. This is the Peach obviously wants to hold his line. Obviously, Benefield, you can definitely see the frustration there. With he wants to catch back up, but his tires are not gonna be too happy with that. Dare I say, perhaps even has a bit of a flat spot.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, probably nothing too major. He didn't lock up. He just slid off to the side. Maybe the tiniest bit of a flat spot, but that's still enough to just slow you down ever so slightly. And these guys are looking for temps when it comes to lap times. So wondering if Benefield can catch back up to Rika. I mean, he is catching ever so slightly. That gap was 2.6 at one point. It's now, well, never mind. It's gone, well, been 2.5.
It was back up before he had to pass Peach, I believe.
Yeah.
Already gained half a second, but not making any more ground up now as they're sort of out of the traffic. I guess there's chance of something happening as they catch up to Samuel and Lawrence in LMP3. Those two are pretty close together. Might be a bit dicey, especially because none of these four cars are going to want to yield at all for any lap time when they'll catch up to each other. I can imagine it might be pretty awkward there.
Yeah, that is the beauty of multi-class racing. There's technically two different races going on. It's just they're sharing the same racetrack going on at the same time. And yeah, they go down the start finish straight. They should be catching P2 and P1 in LMP3 this lap actually. I'd like to assume. But we do get a replay here between Benefield and JP. So Benefield going down the inside, and I just sent it a bit too hard and lost the rear end there. And perhaps the tiniest bit of a lock up, but
Yeah,
I've noticed with these LMP2s, it's when you lock up, they do tend to like to lock the rears before they lock the fronts. If that's the best way to
that's
say it,
true.
and if
Yep.
you do lock the rears, you end up going well, what's just happened there, going for a full spin. So I reckon that's what's happened here.
And that's the pressure. He had Rick pretty close behind, and he had to get through some LMP3s. That can happen.
Yeah, and it's also perhaps the rush of trying to get past Peach before the corner, because after the start finish straight, I mean, there is spots, but obviously he does not want to slow down ever so slightly. But he is closing the gap to Rika. That gap now 1.7, so he does seem to still have the pace. They're now catching up to P1 and P2, and actually, I think this is playing out just the way they wanted for these two, as they're gonna catch them down the straight. Now, will he be
This
able
is
to
awkward.
catch P1? Yeah, this is awkward. This is what we were talking about before. LMP2s
that's
and
not gonna work.
LMP3s, it's never gonna work. And obviously, these P3s, they're not entitled to. They're entitled to that piece of racetrack. Oh, going for a bit of a sand. That was better. But now that P3 is gonna have to check up a little bit. So it's still not gonna be too happy with that one. The P3s does not want to have to check up because of the P2s, but the P2s does want to get ahead. Ooh, careful there, Ryan Edison. Obviously, that was a strategic play. You know what? I see what's happened there. He's gone back into breaking the toe, and that's actually worked quite well for Ryan Anderson there, breaking the toe from Pete. Going a bit wide there. Pete not actually giving up. Pete still on the rear bumper. Was not quite enough, and actually looking to make a move down the inside, as we do have more LMP2 traffic in the back. But now that battle for P4 between Cameron Thistlethwaite and Nora Reinhardt is appearing to be spicing up ever so slightly. Gotta
Yeah,
be
and
careful with the bumps as well in these cars. That's another thing these prototypes don't like, and it's a big fat sausage curb. They do not take them very well.
Benefield is right onto the back of Ricker there. I wonder how much that traffic has come into play, because believe he's gained a full second in sort of 1 or 2 sectors there. So this could get pretty spicy. He's dropped back a bit now, 0.7. Probably won't have enough toe into turn 1 yet, definitely not. But it's really close by. The good thing for Ricker is that there's no LMP3s to get in his way anymore for either of them.
That is a bit of breathing room for these two. They've gone through the LMP3 traffic. And now they're back. Well, Ricker is back into clean air. The same cannot be said for Benefield. He's gotta deal with the wake of that other LMP2. Now, how substantial it is, I don't know. I didn't find it to be too substantial when driving the P3s, but perhaps it's different in the P2s as they now go through the second sector of the track. No, that's the second sector, right? No, surely that is.
We're in the middle of second sector now.
We're in the middle sector. You see, there's these little lines on the track map there that are confusing me a little bit. I think the track map is having a bit of a moment because it's looking like the second sector is about 200 meters long, and then we're straight into the third sector. I got a bit confused there. Apologies, but as they now go through the 13th corner. That's apparently what it's called. It's called 13th. And now they're going through 16, which is called Panasonic. This track has some very interesting corner names. Some very basic corner names, to say the very least. The first corner apparently is called First. So that's what they're heading towards. Oh, but now we've got a bit of a battle going on there. Benefield getting the slipstream, getting the better exit. He's gonna go side by side and he's gonna go look down the inside. Now can Ricker retaliate? He just does not have the speed, and Benefit will get that move done on Ricker as they go through the first corner. Ooh, there's a bit of contact there between these two, or perhaps just barely missing contact between Ricker as they now go through Coca-Cola.
Yes,
that corner.
Coca-Cola.
That is the corner name. And this is 100R. Now, fun fact, I just found out something because I've noticed these Japanese tracks have all these R corners, 100R. There's a 300R on this corner as they go through Hairpin. And obviously 130R at Suzuka. Apparently that's
300R right now.
That is the radius of the corner in meters. So the Japanese, being the way that they are, just being perfectionists, simple in a way, and they don't need to name their corners fancy names. If you're on the hard track to commentate, go on the Nordschleifer being one of them, obviously, but Kyalami is very yep, that one as well. But the Japanese tracks generally have some very easy corner names to remember, and I applaud them for that. But Benefield now is already building quite a big gap on Ricker. Is already 1 second ahead. So Benefield, something's awakened in Benefield. He's perhaps a bit of anger is what he needed. A bit of frustration from that little spin around turn 1 is all he needed to start pressing on the gas, and he's now really building that gap onto Ricker. Now we're back with Harry Lawrence. The same cannot be said. He's not really building a gap to Shady, although he's got just enough to not give Shady the slipstream he needs down the start-finish straight. So that's not a bad spot to be here for Harry Lawrence.
Yeah, really impressive from Benefield, honestly. Went from about 2.7 back to leading by 1.5 seconds. I don't know, something's awoken inside of him after that spin in turn 1, and he might be driving it in anger.
You can use your anger to your strength, but it can very easily lead to some very silly mistakes. Me being a driver that's a bit hot-headed, some people would know. I get angry very easily when I'm behind the wheel. I can't help it, but that's where I end up doing my mistakes, especially in enduros. My teammates have got to tell me to chill a bit, calm down, get yourself back together. Mistakes happen, and you can do some silly things, but now you're doing sillier things by being angry. It's probably one of my biggest weaknesses when it comes to sim racing. It's just, and as I talk about that battle for P3 is still as spicy as ever between Ryan Dennison and Peter. I forgot how to say it already. Someone's taught me how to say it, but I'll just call him Pete. Call him Pete. There you go.
We'll call him Pete. I think that might be easier. Yeah, we haven't really seen these guys much this race so far, but they've got their own sort of two-way battle going on, similar to Benefield and Ricker. I'm surprised Pete didn't have a go into turn 1. I think he was showing about 0.2 back onto the exit of Panasonic. Didn't make any gains down the main straight. Not sure what's up with that, whether that's a setup issue or held back or something. Will be interesting to follow though, because I think Pete hasn't been this close all race, has he?
No, I don't think he was. In fact, Anderson was pretty far ahead, but as we say that, there's a bit of traffic now. They're going through the LMP3 lead. It's looking pretty clean. Ryan Anderson definitely.
This is going to be awkward.
It's going to be awkward for that's not what Lawrence needs right now, and that's actually allowed Shady Samuel to really close that gap onto the LMP3 driver. Again, it's looking like he's had to check up once again on to the LMP2. That's probably frustrated Harry Lawrence. The bit of a gap that he needed has closed down, and that should give Shady Samuel just the toe he may even need to get closer. But as I say, that gap seems to have increased just a tiny bit.
0.5.
Pete has Ryan Anderson has actually got a massive gap on Pete, and you can see Lawrence doing his best, taking as much slipstream as he can. And according to one of our stewards, Matt Powell, update from the steward's box: nothing has happened. Would you like me to change that for you, Matt? I can change it for you guys. I mean, I can't, but being a commentator, I can twist some things. I can curse someone, get someone into an incident, then you'll have something to do. I mean, I'm sure you guys don't mind not doing anything. A race without incident is honestly a perfect race, and everything has gone good, especially the way these guys are racing. When they do get close, they're racing very hard, but not getting into contact. So that's always good to see.
And yeah, it looked like Lawrence almost had to switch back on, was it Ryan Anderson, into Dunlop corner, turn 10. That was a bit spicy. Definitely going to be upset with that one. I think, and no incidents so far in the race, or at least no real incidents. Goes to show the quality of the drivers out here. They're doing a real good job to keep it clean so far.
Yeah, even Split Red's keeping it clean. Do you believe that? I'm not even. I'm serious. They're keeping it clean. Obviously, Paul Ricard is the odd one out. Honestly, that was a bit chaotic. But apart from that, they've been keeping it very clean. Even as Batters out of another track where Ryan Anderson, where are you going? Completely missing his breaking point there. And now where is Pete? And Pete does manage to make the position. What's happened there for Ryan Anderson? Perhaps snoozing a little bit, missing his brake marker. Obviously, and he's gone wide again. No, he's a bit frustrated there. Bit of frustration coming from Ryan Anderson. And I can't blame him for that. That has happened to me in the past as well, where just snoozing a little bit, and then all of a sudden, oh crap, I got a break. But it wasn't too dramatic while I say that, but he has lost a position and lost the final step on the podium to Pete. But I'm sure he'll try to fight back for it. Let's see what these two can do.
Yeah, he's within a second right now, and the tires should be all right. So if he's quicker, He'll definitely be onto the back of Pete pretty soon, I think. We'll see if Pete can hold him off.
It is also 40 minutes into the race, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of these LMP2s, except for one of them, that was Graham Hill. I think it was. No, was it Graham Hill?
It was Hill. It was Hill.
It was Hill. It was definitely Hill. Graham Hill has pitted once, so apart from them, I expect to see some of the P2s, if I remember correctly, it's around the 45, 50-minute mark where they have to start pitting, which is honestly quite funny to think about. And it's like that in other sims as well, in iRacing. When we did the 12 hours of Sebring, we had to pit like every 45 minutes. Honestly, every time he went for a stint, like, I could so easily do a double here. These stints feel so short, even on a track like Sebring, where it's not exactly the longest lap time. And then those laps just felt like they went away so quick. In fact, for the final stints, I did double stint, single, and then one of my teammates just relieved me for one stint. I did another double stint. That was a good race. Very proud of that one. But anyways, we're not racing at Sebring here. We're at FUJI, and we're getting similar lap times here. So obviously, P1 and P2 still have not pitted. It's only 42 minutes, but they should pit at some point in this race relatively soon.
For sure. And I think it's one of the easier tracks to fuel save on as well. I noticed last night in my race, I had a bit too much fuel because I didn't bother calculating it. I think I could have done about 54 minutes without any fuel saving in the Lexus, and I don't think the Lexus is particularly good on fuel.
Nah. It's the best car. It's the best car. Nah, it's not. It's not. I like to say it's the best car. I agree with you on that one. It's not. It is not the best for fuel saving.
No.
In fact, I mean, it's got a big honking V8. What do you expect?
It does, exactly.
Big honking
5
V8.
liters, I think.
Yeah, something like that. It's like 5-liter V8. I think the EMG actually is a bigger V8. I think the EMG is like a 6.2-liter V8. But surprisingly enough, at least I'm not sure on LMU. I'm not very well known in the GT3s. I have to actually put some time in the GTs, funnily enough, in LMU, because I just can't figure them out. I don't quite have the pace that you do when it comes to GT cars here. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I really struggle with them. But yeah, I probably should put some time into them.
They're good fun. Sort of a shame that we don't have any out here, but to be fair, these cars are also pretty good fun.
Now, what's good fun in the GTE? Bring back the GTEs. Now, those are fun. I can drive those. Those are fantastic fun. I did some dailies in a GTE at Spa, and it's just like absolute perfection, that car.
I wish it never went away.
I wish it never went away either. It didn't deserve to go away, even though apparently they were very expensive to run in real life. I don't know why.
They were basically prototypes with a GT3 or like a road-going body kit on it.
Yeah, that's even exactly how they felt like.
The 911 was mid-engined, so...
Fantastic car, the RSR. Yeah, I wish they never went away. But yeah, prototype GT3 in a class where you're gonna have mostly gentlemen pay drivers. And obviously, there's nothing wrong with a pay drivers. That's motorsport revolves around pay drivers. Without the pay driver, you don't have motorsports. It's as simple as that. It's not. Most of motorsport is, funnily enough, not profitable in the races, and the pay drivers is what makes it somewhat profitable for some of these teams. So. Obviously, it's why we have LMP3. It's why we have LMP2s. Those are gentlemen classes.
Shout out to the dentist in the chat.
Shout out to the dentist. Let's go. They do. It is. They do make motorsport what it is. Not to say that some of them aren't great drivers. We do have some very good drivers out there that pay to drive, but talking about pay drivers, we've obviously even your sim races a pay driver. Have you even thought about that? You have to buy your sim rig, then you have to buy the game. even sim
It's true.
drivers start off as a pay driver. We're all pay drivers in here. We're all dentists, apparently.
dentist at heart. I wish I was a dentist.
Don't we all? Don't we all? I mean, imagine driving one of those things in the real world. We've got the sim, and the sim is obviously still realistic, but you don't get the G forces, you don't get half of what the pay drivers get. But back on that battle with Shady Samuel and Harry Lawrence, Shady Samuel now holding the fastest lap by 1,000th of a second. So you can see the pace difference between these two is pretty much non-existent. They're pretty much driving the same race, and what I reckon is that battle is gonna rely on either an LMP2 or a mistake from one of these two, and they're generally very consistent drivers as well. As we've seen, that gap has not opened or closed whatsoever, and it is 46 minutes into the race now. So let's see what happens as we see JP Sonic is actually again back into P5. They've done another mistake of their own that we have completely missed, but they've again lost 2 positions. I suspect it is another one of the spins you were talking about, Layla.
Yeah, must have been. Not sure what happened in front of Fistulate and Gibbons. I think that's exactly where they were last time they spun. Oh, you can see him pushing the limit and going a bit too much there into 100R. He caught the grass on the inside just a little, set him off away from the. It's sort of a double apex, that corner. In fact, it's listed as 2 separate corners on the track map, I've just noticed. So very much a double apex, and just sort of caught the inside of it a little. Not what you want to do, bit sketchy.
Now, would that be possible, right? Let's say I made a race track. Can I make a track with a corner that has a triple apex? Does that exist in the real world? I don't.
Yeah, see, I think it's 8 to 11 at Turkey.
That is one track. I don't know. I don't know that track. That is the problem. I don't know that track. I've never driven it. I've only seen it driven in F1, but I'm not knowledgeable. So you see, I could learn a thing or two from you. Again, FUJI as well. You're helping me out quite a bit because this is another track where I'm not knowledgeable at all. It's just a track I've driven once, hated it, never touched again. But yeah, it's very good help. Quadruple apex. I have to check that out after this race.
Apex, I think that's right.
I'm gonna check that out.
I've driven it in the funny enough the LMP2 as well. So.
So it's also a track that you get on R Factor too, huh?
Yeah, I think I've done a couple of races on R Factor with that track.
As we do get a replay. The replay of Peach here, and that is apparently the incident. We're still watching. We're still. Oh, he's falling asleep. That's even worse than Ryan Anderson. He did what Ryan Anderson did ×5. He's completely missed the braking there. So it wasn't a spin. It's just snoozing at the wheel. He's probably getting bored, driving his own race. Oh, and now
that's Benefield.
That is Benefield, yeah. Where is Rika actually? Benefield is a 4.7 second gap to Rika. What's happened to Rika?
Yeah, it was quiet. Yeah,
that is a massive gap. I know Benefield all of a sudden woke up and gained some pace, but I don't think he was that much quicker than Rika. So I've wondered what's happened to Rika as well, and that gap is still opening. And
maybe the spin was enough to heat his tires up enough or something like that. No, I've been sort of keeping an eye on it for a couple of laps or even 10-15 minutes almost, and the gap just kept going up. Benefield's been navigating traffic, I think, really well. Maybe Rick has got a bit unlucky, but even then, it's mostly going to come from pace here.
Is it actually going to come from pace? Because I almost said a bad word there. That is a lot more pace. I thought he was only slightly quicker. And apparently Damiano Turcellini in the chat also not racing here. What are you doing, Damiano? Confirming to you that Turkey is basically a quad apex, and also Peach missed the breaking point, and also according to Damiano, best way to avoid a spin is just to run straight. And you know what? I do not disagree with that. Yeah, you'd rather go straight than go for a spin. Avoid locking up your tires. Avoid flat spotting your tires. And we've seen Peach fight back for the pack. He's just challenging himself. He's like, "Oh, I'm bored in P3. I want to go back down the pack and fight somebody." And he now has what he's wished for, what I'd like to assume he's wished for, because he's got a bit of a battle. He goes very wide off the track there. Cameron Thistlethwaite looking around the outside, just
No
not
chance.
quite enough, but will he get the better exit there? And just that's pretty much equal on exit as they go through the start-finish 8. Now, Pigeon is in a dangerous position here. Cameron is pretty close behind. Will he get the slipstream? Is the Ligier quick enough to match the Ginetta down the straight? It's not looking like it. The Giga Ginetta, the best LMP3 of the field, just managed to have the Ligier ever so slightly catching, just not quite enough. Ooh, very close there. Almost a bit of contact. It's looking like actually Cam was getting ready to check up and move out the way there to avoid contact. Now, these two, I'm pretty sure, are pretty good friends, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're talking to each other. Perhaps we'll see, but Cam now
Here we go.
again looking around the outside again. They just can't quite make it move around 100R.
No, it's tricky. I tried it last night. It didn't go well.
Pretty sure I saw one of your spins on your stream. I think that was hypercar induced. But as we look at that battle between these two, it's getting spicy. I'm wondering if Peach's tires are starting to feel the wear. And I'm surprised nobody has pitted yet. It has been 52 minutes in the race, so I would have thought that at least one of the P2s would have pitted by now, but again, get proven wrong, Gobby. That is not to happen, but now they go back. Ooh, Cam has to correct, and that is not what you want, and that gives Peach the breathing room, and he will survive another lap ahead of Cameron Thistlethwaite. That could have been a lot worse for Cam, but he's done a good job at catching it here.
Rick is in the pits.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I mentioned it once, and finally, Rick heard me. Rick has answered my prayer. We do get the second LMP2 to pit for the race, and that means we're going to start to see somewhat of a chain reaction going on. As I want to see how close he gets to Benefield here once he goes out the pits. But we will see.
It's a very tricky pit entry here. You have to basically slam the brakes. I do it based on a building on the right-hand side. I was kind of sad that we didn't have to do it last night. It was only a 45-minute race for us, and I do find the pit entry very enjoyable. It's I don't know if you've seen maybe in F1, it's kind of like Azerbaijan's pit lane. You have a little chicane sort of.
Oh yeah, that's horrible. I think some of the British tracks have that in AC. AC, sorry, I'm so sorry. The British tracks in ACC do get that as well. They've got a bit of a chicane of pit entry. I hate those. I absolutely hate those. I don't know why that's included. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. It forces the car to slow down. You can't really
That's true.
min-max the pit entry. You've got to actually do a bit of a chicane and then enter the pit. So it's probably for safety reasons. Let's assume it that way, because I don't see any other reason why you would need a chicane in a pit entry. Yeah, as you can see it there. That's actually quite a big chicane. I just saw it there.
Yeah.
That is interesting. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a mistake for one of these drivers slamming into the wall there.
I mean, how much risk do you want to take? It could absolutely be a turning point in the race as well, because if one of these drivers has practiced the pit entry and one hasn't, you're going to be absolutely clueless going into the pits if you haven't practiced it, which I know a lot of people might forget about that aspect of practicing for a race and just, hit escape back to pits in practice and then get into the race and go, oh, I don't know how to get into the pits. You're going to take it easy, hopefully, if you're smart, but you're going to lose a couple of seconds that somebody who's practiced it won't lose. And that could swing the entire race. That could gain you multiple or lose you multiple positions.
Unfortunately, I am not smart. But I usually
I've
only
done
do
it
like
before as well.
yeah, I usually only do like one pit entry. I'm like, yeah, that's good enough. I'm very much on the safer end of things when it comes to pit lanes, and it has bitten me in the past where I take my pit entries relatively safe, and then the guy that's I'm battling with decides, you know what, I'm just gonna send it here, and
Here
it
we
has
go.
worked out for them as we do get a three-way battle here between Gibbo, Peach, and Cam. This will get very interesting here. Now get ready for another confused Gubby as it is two of the exact same car battling now as they go down the start-finish straight. Peach does have the better slipstream, and he should be able to get the move done down the straight as he moves out the toe and does get side by side now with Gibbo. Now I suspect Gibbo is again not gonna fight, but look who's
Look at Peter behind,
entered.
yeah.
We got Pete behind, but Pete taking it easy. Oh, that could end a disaster with just ever so slightly did it there for the LMP2 and the LMP3, but that was very risky here from Pete. But that's actually given Peach a ton of breathing room here between his other 8 LMP3 competitors. And look at that P2 just go around the outside. That is absolutely magnificent to see. Obviously, Peach had to compromise his line a tiny bit there, but nothing too dramatic. We'll see. Now Cam has to manage to get around Gibbo, and Paige has shown the pace. Now Paige will probably go away in the distance here. I'd like to assume. What position will he be in? He's still only sitting P4 though. He's still got Reinhardt to catch up to. And Reinhardt is... Where is Reinhardt? Only at 1.7 seconds ahead of Peach, so it's not like he's not done it in the past. So I suspect he will do it again here, Jean Pierre, as
Pistol way to the
now
inside.
yeah,
Oh, that's a
Cameron
robbery.
Tisselway. Yeah, that is just that was given to him on a plate. As you can see,
Gibbons
Gibbo
was running, yeah, the normal line, and Fizzleway just hugged the right side of the track almost into Panasonic. And I mean, he's already alongside. What can Gibbons do? Can't turn over him. Had to give that one up and doesn't get any slipstream or enough slipstream down the back straight. I think that's through for Fizzleweight pretty cleanly.
I think Gibbo is not really fighting these guys. He knows they've got pretty big pace difference. It's nothing wrong with that, obviously. Some people practice harder than others. But yeah, Gibbo not really looking to fight too much, looking like they just want to survive. They just want to have fun and perhaps, just driving around in a league race where you just don't get deleted by a random is all you need to have fun. I mean, he's still sitting P6, is right smack dab in the middle of the pack here for the LMP3s. And Damiano Turkinis. Engaging comes by you too, smiley face. I'm glad you're enjoying it hard. When are we going out for dinner, Damiano? As we're still looking at Gibbo here. Yeah, it's looking like he's just taking it easy, trying to survive. I don't think the LMP3s have to pit this race. I think the LMP3s can do a 1 hour race with no issues, but this is apparently a 1 hour 22 minutes.
20,
I think it's,
yeah.
Yeah, it's an hour 20 race. I think it says 122 because it includes the the starting
Formation
grid
lap.
and formation lap and all that stuff. So that's all added up in that. So yeah, 1 hour 20 race for these drivers.
Something to watch. Benefield's gone through the pits. He's actually on his way out now, it looks like. It'll be really interesting to see where he comes out. It's sort of hard to read it on the map. It looks like he's in completely clean air, but where is Ricker in comparison?
Rick's
ages away.
Ages away. He's only just gotten on the straight now, and Benefield's gone out of pits. So that's
10 seconds gap, it looks like.
I don't know what's awoken. Don't know what's awoken with Benefit. Yeah, super long stint by Dan. As said Damiano, he almost made it an hour here in the LMP2s. I'm sure he could have made it an hour if he could Lyco, but obviously he didn't have to Lyco. Looked like he basically full sent it and managed to almost get it down to getting up to an hour stint in an LMP2. So that is a very solid effort here from Daniel Benefield. And that's all she wrote for the LMP2 driver. And same for Pete, actually. Pete only got into the pits, and he's also done a massive stint. Obviously, these cars not having to deal with virtual energy, both classes, ELMS P2s and LMP3s, don't have to deal with virtual energy. So it's all down to fuel tank. Obviously, I want to say single class, but then you have LMP3s. There's obviously all sharing the same engine, but there's still 3 different cars, and they're actually a bit different from one another. So interesting to see that Graham Hill now in the P2, getting around Cameron Thistleswade. Ooh, right in the braking zone. That's going to compromise Cam a little bit. As you can see, Cam has to go very wide there. He's not going to be happy with that one.
No, going all the way wide, there's actually quite a big time loss through turn 1. You normally want to avoid the exit curb for the most part. But yeah, very impressive stints for some of the LMP2 drivers. I did say it was one of the better tracks for fuel. I would assume on the entire calendar, especially it wasn't a GT3. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same for the P2s. And will be interesting to see what the P3s do, because I had no idea they'd make an hour and 20 minutes on no pit stops. That's quite a long way to go, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the P3 can do an hour 20. I know it can do an hour. Hour 20, maybe pushing it, perhaps. Yeah, perhaps they will have to do just a small stop for the tiniest bit of fuel. But so far, none of the P3s have gone into the pits. Pardon my English. As now we're back looking at Cam. He's lost a lot of time here to Peach, actually. He's 2 seconds behind now. Actually, Peach as well lost a lot of time to Noah. He was caught up to within a second, I'm pretty sure. But now he's back down to 1.5. Again, yeah, these P2s, especially after the pit stops, are now going to be very intrusive on the P3's personal space, to say the very least. In fact, look at that. We've got Gibbo again coming back to close the gap on Cam, but I suspect Cam will start to pull away once these P2s are gone and through.
Sort of quietening down in the race at the moment, as we sort of go into the last almost 15 minutes to go now.
That's one of the things that makes it a bit hard to commentate. Is these races, they're clean. Yes, they're too clean. There's no chaos. There's no hard battling. We want a bit of content here at OR as well. Obviously, not necessarily crashing into each other. We don't want that. We league race, so we avoid crashing and driving like a bunch of idiots. But you know, I'd like myself a little wheel-to-wheel battle like we've seen in the past between these drivers, and so far we're not really getting much of that. Everyone's just kind of driving their own race. We've got a couple passes for positions, but even then those passes were not really spicy, to say the least. Just some very clean passes where the other driver's like, okay, you know what, you can have it, take it. I didn't want that position anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think some of the drivers, or most of the drivers, will have reined themselves in on their driving a little bit. They've gotten over that first, you know how we had a couple spins in the first maybe 20 minutes. It's pretty dodgy to get out there, Thistleswade would know. But yeah, a couple of spins in the first sort of 20 minutes, and then they seem to, for the most part, quieten down. I think a lot of these drivers will come in with maybe a bit on the low side of the time you could put in for practice, and leave that last little bit for the race, and then it does come back to bite you. I do it often. I don't practice as much as I maybe feel like I should for some of these races, and it can get a little sketchy as you go into the race and you're still trying to work out the car and still trying to work out the balance of everything. And with that excitement, you can get too eager onto the throttle or lock up the brakes, make a mistake. Once you get an hour into a race, you're kind of running on autopilot. I think most of these drivers, especially the ones that are in clean air, will just be not really thinking about much, just kind of going with the flow of the track, which is always nice for the drivers, but maybe means a few less mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's actually one thing I've noticed as well when I'm driving enduros. The first stint is always the hardest, is because we're still learning the track conditions, especially in enduros. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. for an enduro in OR. That's the dedication I have. But the first stint is always the hardest. But once you get past that first stint, Cam, that's a bit wide once again, and Gebo is gonna take the opportunity. But I think Gebo's He's not really fighting it, Gebo. He doesn't want to fight it. Come on, Gebo. Put some wheel to wheel. A little bit of door banging is allowed. Make it interesting for the stewards. Come on, he doesn't want to fight. He's just being very much a gentleman. He just wants to finish the race. I'm sure he could have gotten the move done here as he's looking around the outside.
Bissell is gonna, give him every opportunity to sort of fight and go alongside there.
Tesla was like, come on, fight me, I want to fight, yes! We got a bit of battling here between these two, and they are going to battle. They're going to go side by side through the final sector, and they're still side by side, and that makes it also interesting for us. Will Gibbo try again? Gibbo probably got the message. So, oh, fine, we can battle a bit. You know, I want to have, we can tussle, have a bit of a tussle, you and me. We've not had a tussle. I've been clean. As they go around through the final corner, and now Gibbo is gonna get the slipstream. I don't think it is quite enough to get alongside for turn one.
No, it won't be. I'll tell you what, Tim. I think they heard us.
Yeah, they definitely did. They answered my prayers. I've been praying for a bit of a tussle, because not gonna lie. Never mind. No, that's just quirky LMU angles. I thought Cam was sliding there for a moment, but that was just quirking out. It's looking like, look at that. We got a bit of a P2 starting to get involved here.
Oh, and Fisselweight is wide again on the way out of Coca-Cola, which is very sketchy, as you can probably tell by the offboard. And now Oliver goes around the outside of Gibbons. It's going to split them up a little bit. Gibbons might be a bit frustrated that he didn't take advantage of Fisselweight's sort of, no offense, but a little bit of sloppiness there on that last lap. And yeah, Gibbons might be a little upset as Fisselweight runs deep again.
Yeah, runs very deep. I think it's because he's had to check up on Oliver as well, trying his best to avoid contact. And there's another LMP2 getting involved here, and that will be the LMP2. Who is that? Rika? That does look like Rika's LMP2. Look at that gap between Rika and Benefield. It is now 27 seconds. So yeah, Benefield
27.
That's 27. That's 27. 28 now. Yeah, that is a 28-second gap now. Yeah, so I don't know what is going on. Not sure if Rick has slammed on the anchors or Benefield has just found the pace that he hasn't had until that one spin of his. But he's showing an absolute dominant performance here. He is Daniel Benefield.
Yeah, that spin actually did wake up the tires, I think.
Yeah, he has woken up the tires. You know what? I just noticed we have a head-to-head on the bottom right. I was always ignoring that little thing on the bottom right, but we do have a bit of a head-to-head delta thing going on here with I think those are the driver's last laps. So currently P setting a 137.4 on his last lap, I think, and Cam with a 137.0. So Cam being the faster out of the three. It's a head-to-head. Put in a funny joke to the side as we're back with Peach. Currently, Perry Lawrence with apparently I'm not sure if I can trust these lap times. Harry Lawrence's last lap was a 1:42.0. Don't know about that one. We'll see when one of them crosses the line, but if that was so, and yeah, it looks like Harry Lawrence has done a mistake. He has lost 2 positions and is currently sitting in P3 with Shady Samuel taking the lead. He's even lost a position to Noah Reinhardt, so I'm not sure what's happened there to Lawrence.
Yeah, I was trying to work out what was happening with the LMP3s there. We might get a replay of that soon. The 34-second gap between Samuel and Lawrence. Did Lawrence pit maybe?
Oh yeah, he did. He did pit on lap 41, so he is one of the first LMP3 to officially pit. So that's what that little yellow thing is. I was wondering what it was. There you go. So that's when they pitted. Oh no, I was a bit confused. I was like, oh, what's that supposed to mean? So that is when they've pitted. So Harry Lawrence has not done a mistake. He's just decided to go into the pits, and that is why he is currently 34 seconds behind Shady Samuel and behind Noah Reinhardt. So he's built enough of a gap to actually pit and stay ahead of Peach. So that's a solid effort from these P3 drivers. Peach looking like perhaps struggling a little bit. So yeah, Harry Lawrence now with a 2:11.205, so he just pitted the lap before this.
I have to wonder how possible the fuel save is then for LMP3, because if Lawrence has pit that, I guess, quote-unquote, early, is Samuel gonna have to pit as well? Is the rest of the field gonna have to pit? I would imagine they would, because that's
surely
8, 9, 10 minutes before the finish of the race.
Yeah, there's still 10 minutes to go. Even if they've got some fuel left, I don't think they'll have enough to quite fuel save to the end.
Yeah, 10 minutes of fuel saving is a lot. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would say it's very difficult to do and keep at the front of the field. I mean, Samuel was holding the back of Lawrence for a lot of the race. If he was doing that while fuel saving enough to make it to the finish, that'd be very impressive. We'll just have to wait and see, really.
Well, we'll see, as we're now back with Noah Reinhardt. So Lawrence is only a second behind. Now is Noah Reinhardt gonna be nice and let him through? Or is he gonna try and do, try and race a little bit, get a bit racy?
If Reinhardt has to pit again, then it wouldn't make too much sense to battle, but he's also in a bit of no man's land, so he could, and Lawrence has to be very stressed here.
Ooh.
Because his whole race could fall apart if he can't get past Reinhardt quickly.
Yeah, we'll see. So far, Reinhardt is definitely not making it easy for Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence tried to sneak something through, I think, turn 13, but Reinhardt made it pretty clear, even if it was a half send by Lawrence, that it's not going to happen. Onto the back straight now, tucked in. Probably won't have a top speed advantage because Reinhardt will be lighter, or at least not as much of an advantage as he wants. He pulls out now, going to go for the inside into turn 1. Reinhardt's not defending it, but I imagine he'll still break late.
Yeah,
Looks like Lawrence is not
defending it. He's not defending it, but looks like perhaps we should check up a little bit. But yeah, there's no point defending that. It would have been funny though. It would have been quite funny if he's like, I want to battle. Yeah, controversial. I'm sure Lawrence wouldn't have found it funny. Perhaps Lawrence would be like, why are you battling me? I'm a pit stop ahead.
Well,
you're gonna have to pit unless he's not. But they are driving the same car. They're both driving the Ligier, not the Ligier, the Queen.
Are you sure? I feel like it's the Ligier logo.
Nah, that's the Queen.
True. Yeah, the logo's wrong. That's right.
Yeah, the headlights I give it a Weasley. Oh, and actually on the rear wing, that's the Queen logo there. I just saw a sneak peek of it. There you go, little triangle.
Yes. Okay.
So that's the logo we need on the on this time board, but obviously we don't have it just yet. The Queen still quite a recent addition to LMU, came out with Barcelona. As for me, the stream has frozen. Nope, it is back.
We're all good.
We are good. Now, now there's some LMP3 on LMP3 lap traffic, and Noah Reinhardt still not pitting. So Lawrence pitting very early on. I'm wondering if he's also taken tires. I don't think he would have. We finally get another P3 into the pits at the back. That is Peach in the pit lane, deciding it is time for him to go for his pit stop, and he's got a very early pit box. Oh, and gets moved forward. But I don't think an LMU getting moved forward. Yeah, it doesn't affect you. Yeah, just feel. That was a very, very quick stop from Peach. So it's obviously with only, what is that, 6 minutes to go in the race. Is that 6? Yeah, 6 minutes to go in the race. I can math, it's okay. So we've got a few of the P3s that have pitted. So we've got Peach that's just done his pit stop, and now Busk has also done his pit stop on lap 44. So Lawrence actually pitting extremely early. I'm wondering if he's actually short fueled, if he knew you had to go for a pit stop anyways.
Yeah, I'm really curious as to what's going to happen with Samuel. I feel like if he's not in this lap, you have to question if he's even going to come in at all.
I mean,
I know the strategy. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean he's just gone through the start-finish straight now, and he's showing no signs of stopping Shady Samuel.
Okay, we'll do this lap then.
I mean, his last lap time is a 1:39, so you should suspect is he actually fuel saving, because he's very much down on pace, and you can see Harry Lawrence catching extremely quick. So that is actually, I'm wondering if he's actually gonna do the no-stop strategy here of Shady Samuel.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's definitely on the table, I feel like, and it'd be very impressive if he could pull it off. Same thing for Reinhardt and Fizzaway, who also have in pit. I'm very curious to see what those guys will do.
Yeah, I'm interested because
P5 Gibbons is in.
Gibbons isn't, so we got a lot of these P3s pitting, but I suspect we're not gonna see a pit stop here from Mr. Shady Samuel, and he's might be trying to do a no-stop strategy, and kudos to him if he manages to make it stick, because he is sacrificing a lot of time, and if he does pit now, he will get jumped by Harry Lawrence, but it's looking like he is still staying out. Yeah, not planning to pit anytime soon, Mr. Shady Samuel, and yeah, wondering perhaps if it might be a Ligier thing, because I think Noah is also driving the Queen, so it's perhaps not a Ligier thing unless Noah is holding off for one more lap. But so far the Ligier is looking like not planning to pit. As we'll see now, Noah Reinhardt, as he goes on to start finish straight, him as well not planning to pit. So this could get very interesting here for LMP3.
Indeed. So Benefield currently leads us going into the last.
It's looking like Cam has gone into the pit, so that strategy, no-stop strategy, is over for Cam. Sorry.
Oh, that's so good. That's very much more important than what I was going to talk about. Yeah, Benefield in the lead at the moment for LMP2, followed by Rika and Pete. Benefield absolutely running away from sort of about 30 minutes into the race when he got back past Rika. And then the LMP3s has been very confusing. We still don't really have an answer for how this race is going to finish, because Samuel is still doing laps of the track. He hasn't come in yet, while the majority of the grid have. Same deal for Reinhardt and Curtis, have also stayed out the whole time. So I have to wonder if it's maybe a car thing, that they're saving just more fuel than the other. I think it's the other two cars, would it be?
Lots of lift and coast. Yeah, I mean, Shady Samuel has started to pick up the pace a little bit. He's obviously not doing 36s, but he has to. He's reliant on the not finishing ahead of the LMP2 when on the last lap. He's gonna be hoping. It's very much a put all your what is it? All your money in one pot. I forgot what.
All your eggs in one basket.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. All your eggs in one basket kind of strategy. From Shady Sam. Lawrence actually just did a 35. That it will be the new fastest lap of the race, and he is closing the gap rapidly, but with a 24-second gap, and this will be one more lap. Can Shady Samuel do it? We will find out if he decides to pit or not, but at this point, dare I say, he will lose multiple positions if he does pit, so this could be it here. Shady Samuel, has he done enough to fuel save to last an hour and 20 minutes in an LMP3? And if these drivers, and that's including Noah and Benjamin Curtis, if they have managed to make that work, that is a fantastic effort here. And in fact,
Here we
got
go.
a couple. Here we go, and he
He's
does
not going
not
in.
pit. He is staying out, so it's looking like he is pretty confident with the amount of fuel he has left in his car. Now I'm wondering how slow he's gonna do that lap. He probably knows his delta is 22 seconds. He has 22 seconds to play around a little bit, go slow. He's quite a far ways ahead. The last thing he needs is himself to do a mistake. So we'll see.
Reinhardt's not in either.
No, Reinhardt is out. Benjamin Curtis is looking like his.
Okay.
That is not
he's
what
back.
you want. But P1 has gone back down the start-finish straight, so that's actually, in a way, helped Benjamin Curtis a bit, because if P1 crosses the start-finish line now, this should be the checkered flag, if I remember. No, there's one more lap. Unless this is the checkered flag?
No, this has to be checkered. He's weaving.
Yeah, there is no way. So, yeah, he is weaving. So surely it is the checkered flag for...
Benefield's sending it. That's not over.
It is not over. It is not over. They are still going. I thought it would have been checkered flag. Yeah, perhaps it is a checkered flag, and he's just doing a parade lap. We'll see at the back here. Shady Samuel goes through the start-finish line, and it's looking like, well, yeah, the cars at the back have stopped. Okay, Benefield just making me sweat a little bit, but Shady Samuel...
normally.
Benefield will take the win in LMP2, and Shady Samuel, with the insane strategy, and not the only one to do it, will take the win in LMP3, followed by Harry Lawrence taking a very solid P2, but he had the pace for P1, just didn't quite fuel save, and I suspect, in fact, decided to short fuel, thinking that you had to stop either way over here, and turned out that you did not have to stop. Noah Reinhardt, look how happy he is, weaving, flashing his light, takes the final step on the podium position, and Benjamin Curtis takes 4th position, luckily for him, not having to do an extra lap. And Cam Thistlethwaite will be in P5, and Peach, unfortunately, being P6. That is not the result he would have been looking for. And in LMP2, it will be Benefield taking P1 with Rick in P2. Benefield with that dominant drive. Ryan Anderson takes the final step of the podium. Pete in P4, and Graham Hill takes P5.
Very clean race, and a bit of an interesting finish, I guess, especially in LMP3. I wonder how much Bob talk they're going to have in the chat if some cars can go so much longer than the others.
I mean, it's 3 different manufacturers that's managed to do it as well. That's also the thing. Shady Samuel drives a Ligier. Noah drives a the Queen. And Curtis is in the Janetta. So talk about Bob talk. I think they just had the better strategy there.
They've done their thinking going into this one then. Yeah, very interesting how Lawrence, I believe, pit lap 41, and we did 51 laps, it looks like. So
That
Yeah,
is
definitely two different
absolutely
strategies.
insane. 51 laps on an LMP3. It was definitely close. And anyways, this was our fifth round of ELMS, not in Europe, in Japan, although this is ELMS. My name was Tim Gobe. Commentating with me was Leila Bell. We do have Barcelona next week, so we'll get the calendar with Barcelona next week and Brazil the week after. Anyways, my name was Gobby, and commentating for the first time, Leila Bell. Congratulations, that was a very solid effort, had amazing fun, and obviously we can't forget our good old friend Glenn Germain managing the broadcast for us. Wouldn't happen without you, Glenn. Anyways, you have been watching OOR.